Joshua chapter 2, verse 3 says, Then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, Bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land. This is why they are here. They have come to search out all the land, all the land. Now, in verse 1, Joshua had sent 2 spies into the land to go survey the land, search the land, and basically come back with a report to tell Joshua all about what they saw, all about what they found, basically all about what God is giving to them, the nation of Israel. And so they end up finding themselves in the city of Jericho, which is what Joshua wanted. He wanted them to go especially to search out Jericho. And they ended up finding them in Rahab's house. Now, more than likely, she was an innkeeper of some sort, so she had lodging for visitors, for tourists. People could stay there, most likely, obviously, for a price. Then in verse 2, somehow, maybe they were walking through the streets, or maybe it's because they were entering into the house, but there were people who saw 2 Israelite men go into Rahab's house. And when they saw these 2 Israelite men, they knew exactly what was going on. This was common knowledge. I mean, these men weren't broadcasting it. They didn't have a megaphone with them. They weren't broadcasting what they were doing or who they were. I mean, they were likely there in disguise, likely there in secret, trying to keep their heads down a bit, but they were surveying and searching out the land. But all of this was common knowledge. Later on in Joshua chapter 2, Rahab even says, I know that God is giving you this land. I know that God is doing this for you. And so if Rahab knows this, even the king knows this. Even all of Jericho knows this. And so when in verse 2, when people see these men going into Rahab's house, they take this information to the king. And so now in verse 3, we see the king responding. And this makes sense because the king, again, is responsible for taking care of his citizens. He's responsible for keeping them safe. And if there is a threat to his city or to his domain, he is going to take care of it. I mean, that's just natural. And so here in verse 3, we see the response. Then the king of Jericho, he sent to Rahab. Remember, I am the king. I am king of Jericho, and he's sending to Rahab. So a very specific person, likely suggesting again that there's this is not like a New York City type thing. There's not millions of people here. It's a small place, several thousand at most. But he's sending to Rahab, and he's saying, and he's giving her this command: you bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house. Like, don't lie to me. Don't try to deceive me. Don't say they're not there. I know that they're there because I have eyewitnesses who say they came into your house. And so the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house. I know where they are, for they have come to search out all the land. And again, likely he knows this, she knows this, all of Jericho knows exactly what these men are doing. They're surveying, they're searching all of the land. It's common knowledge. But the king of Jericho, again, he's trying to protect his people against these invaders here who are spying out the land. But he's also basically saying this last part, they've come to search out all the land, hoping really to get her to fear these men and turn them in readily to the king of Jericho. Now, it's ultimately not going to work, but this is the tactic that the king of Jericho is making. He is responding to the information that he's been given. He says, then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all of the land. And this is Joshua chapter 2, verse 3.